this is definitely the week to break down F1.
Finally, something happened.
Finally, something happened on the racetrack, and you know what? Maybe it's interesting too, because it might not have happened at all. We talk about sometimes, well, this incident has to happen, like we just talked about with NASCAR. That late caution with two laps to go had to happen in order for us to actually have something interesting to talk about, even though it got out of hand. But still, for F1, if they don't have a issue on pit road, we're not talking about all this stuff, are we?
Yep, exactly right. Yeah, all it takes is one small mistake, and like I've been talking about for weeks, the gap to Red Bull has been closing. So auto racing is tough. It's a team sport. So many things can go wrong mechanically. The driver can make a mistake. The pit crew can make a mistake. Any one of those small things where your competitors have that chance to pounce, they do. And that's exactly what set up the incident that we are going to talk about here, and ended up with yet another unpredictable finish here in Formula One. Though, if you've been listening closely to me, I've been saying for a couple of weeks that Mercedes has been catching, and sure enough, Mercedes stand.
Yes. Matter of fact, I pumped this out on a short today. So this short's already available on our channel. Our first short, F1 short. So let's check out the F1 short.
So I would put if you think Mercedes can pull out a win, I would put money on Russell and Hamilton today versus doing the team. I think again I'd go McLaren, I'd go Norris for the pole, I'd go Verstappen to win. But if you're looking for a bargain to win, it's got to be one of the drivers. Usually I would tell you to go with the team on that bet, but this week, based on the odds the way that they are now, with Hamilton and Russell both being at 22, I would absolutely, for my hedge bet in terms of winning, if I'm not going with Verstappen, I would go with both Hamilton and Russell.
Good going.
Would have gotten it.
Nice call. That was 22 to 1, Russell?
On that day, it was. Yeah, it was remarkable. I could not believe it when we saw those odds. Yeah, that was a must pick. I mean, Mercedes has been closing the gap every single week. To be, granted, you're taking it early, so you don't have the ability to watch qualifying. You don't have the ability to watch the sprint race. And yeah, it took a little bit of luck but Russell pulled it out, and that's exactly why you got to listen.
Okay. Well, let's hear, first of all, what Norris had to say. Let's check this out.
I don't know what I'm going to say. I did all I could. I gave a fair, respectful, on the edge battle, but that's not what I got in return.
Obviously, you and Max have always been good friends, or you've long been good friends. Is it the kind of thing that you want to go and chat about? Because obviously
it's not for me to say, it's for him to say something. I did nothing wrong. He was the one in the wrong.
Max doesn't really say anything. So, yeah, not that I would expect him to say anything. But what was the fallout? Especially from what they said.
So the question would be, so Max got the 10-second penalty in the race. The additional penalty that carries over, let me clarify, are 2 points that go on his license. So you accumulate points, and if you accumulate so many points, you end up getting a race ban. So he has 2 points added to his license as the additional penalty that carries over. I think Norris is right. I don't think Max turned into him per se. I believe that he was angling his car away from the turn before he made the right hand swing into the turn. So I don't think he moved under braking. What I did see was that he didn't leave enough racing room, knowing that there was a car on his outside. Because if you go back just a little bit in that clip that we were watching, you see he being Norris is already has his left hand tires outside of the track, outside of the white limits, outside of that asphalt area, onto the paint, and if not beyond, as that curb is going away. There was nowhere else he could have gone. Max's momentum carried him into it by all rules. Max caused the collision. Max, didn't leave enough racing room. The pair hit, so Max gets the penalty. So I think Norris is entirely correct by saying that Max was in the wrong.
Okay. And at this point in time, there's nothing else. I mean, again, we'll take a look at the odds and see how, if anything, it's going to affect them. But other than that, this is just nothing but good stuff for a sport that really doesn't have a whole lot going on, that is really, exciting, at least for the United States sports fan. I know how different it is for fans who love the sport. It's sort of like soccer. We'll go, hey, man, if you don't score enough goals, it's not fun. But that's not what makes soccer great, or just goals. The same thing with F1. Yeah.
Definitely makes it more exciting. I think there's a contingent of people that are sick of seeing Verstappen dominate and Red Bull dominate, and they're cheering on almost anybody that can come up and challenge them. And Norris is building a good fan base. He's going to his home track. He did well there last year, so I would anticipate him doing well again this year. He's got a better car this year. He's going to be able to mount a better challenge. So not to preview who my choice is going to be this week, but I think a lot of things are pointing toward a more exciting conclusion to the Formula One season than it started, because you've got your hero in Lando Norris, you've got your villain in a Max Verstappen, and you might end up with a four-way battle for the championship, because Mercedes is right there and Ferrari has won races as well, and they're not going to sit back and not develop their car. So I think by the time we get back after this summer break, after the next couple of races, we might have a four-way run to the finish with a hero and a villain in play. Could make it very exciting.
Oh, by the way, I should ask you too, because here's one of the questions. This question was posed to the readers, so I'll pose it to you. Should the FIA crack down on braking zone moves or clarify how this maneuver is defined?
Oh, I hate it when you ask the organizing body to get involved. Let the drivers sort it out. Like, less rules, the better. Let them race. No, I don't think they should.
By the way, Mercedes hadn't won a Grand Prix since Russell's win in 2022. That's 595 days between F1 victories.
Yep.
The longest winless streak since it rejoined in 2010.
Such has been the Red Bull Max Verstappen dominance. Yeah, it's surprising to think that, but really the last time Mercedes was competitive was the first championship that Max Verstappen won it on that last race in Abu Dhabi against Lewis Hamilton.
Okay, now let's take a look and find out whether or not the odds, it might be too early in the week for there to be any odds changes, but boy, it certainly looks like there has been.
Yeah, much closer. Normally what we were seeing, Max Verstappen -5, negative, maybe even more. Now almost even. Lando Norris at a 2, so those are your two choices. I'm going with Norris this week. It's his home track.
Wow.
He's right there extremely well. He's close enough to Verstappen, and he's starting to get under his skin, get into the mind games, get into the head games. Max Verstappen is not invincible anymore, and Lando Norris is the one that is closest to him.
So even though this number is about as low as we've seen it all year, you're still going to take Lando Norris at 2-1.
It's his home track. If it were any other track, this is the British Grand Prix. Norris is a British driver. You want to win at your home race more than anywhere else. Norris has already won this year. He could have won had the contact not happened at Austria. I think McLaren's gonna get it done this week.
And has he won before at this track?
Nope. His only win came at Miami earlier this year. That was his first win.
Oh, so he's never won his home race.
Nope.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
He's got one career win. Okay.
Correct.
Oh, so he was the one that what we talked about that was snake bitten all the time. that everybody was
He was
waiting for
coming-
him to win his first race.
Exactly right. He was
Okay.
coming close. And this year, he's got the car consistently every week now that can actually challenge Verstappen and Red Bull. And I think at his home track, there's a bump there because you're in front of your family and your friends. I would put Norris up top.
Okay, so qualifying is identical, basically. So
Yeah, I'd go for the race at this point.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think if they're identical, you go for the race winner rather than if you've got a difference, then depending on obviously what that difference is, you might be better off going with qualifying. But this week, since they're the same, I would go with the race and I would go with Norris.
Okay, and then winning car.
You get better odds just going off of Norris there with McLaren at plus 165. So you get the two with Norris. You get a little bit less if you go with McLaren. You get about the same for Red Bull, though Perez, again, is not who you're talking about in the Red Bull equation. You're only talking about Verstappen there. Mercedes at 9-1 for having won last week. And yeah, they kind of lucked into it. But both drivers for Mercedes are British-born drivers.
Oh,
as
who's,
well.
who's
Maybe
the other one? Oh, Russell and who?
Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
And Hamilton's won here tons of times.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's having a terrible year, right?
Not terrible. He's gotten better. He's not been the Lewis Hamilton of old. So you're just used to him dominating and winning all the time, and he just hasn't gotten to victory lane recently. He has been improving though, and I'm scrolling here just trying to see how many times he has won this race. I want to say it's like 8 times. He's been in 18 Silverstone races, and he's won 8 of them and finished inside the top 5 16 of those times.
Okay. I guess with stats like that, he might just say himself, "Yeah, I'm having a shitty year."
Yeah, comparatively, yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
Definitely Hamilton of old.
And then anything different here this week because of the track?
Yeah, I would go again with the no on the safety car here. It's a wide open airfield. Yeah, you do get cautions because you can have some contact because this track seems to have a little bit more areas to pass and drivers will go at it there. But the chances of some car just randomly going off and causing a caution pretty low on a natural terrain road course, which this is, a lot of runoff room. So I would go ahead and go with the no on the safety car.
All right, so there you go. That's our F1 coverage. It's hey, we certainly hope that we can dive into F1 racing like we did on today's show, but it's just not really going to happen very often. But we're happy to do it nonetheless. And next stop, what do we have? We're still on that stretch, so we've got a week off. This is the week off during the stretch, right?
Correct, and then we'll be at Hungary and then Belgium, and then I think after that we've got 3-week summer break.
Okay, so we get a break and then 2 weeks and then a big break. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then for NASCAR, again, we're going to be talking about Pocono next week, and then the Brickyard after that. So I know you're going to be going away for a little bit, but even before CJ goes away, we'll make sure that we get his take on all the race activities. So we'll have everything covered. So don't worry about that. CJ, appreciate your time as always, including the extra time because we had a lot to talk about this week.
It's nice to have something to talk about in Formula One for a change. So yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
You got it, CJ. Don't forget to check out the F1 report from rotowire.com. We'll have that posted on the video. Video should come out in the next 24 hours. We're recording this at 5:30 Eastern time on Tuesday. It's about the time that we record it every week. So the videos should always be out somewhere between Tuesday and Wednesday every week, as long as, of course, we record on Tuesdays, which we do most of the time. And then Fridays, you can always check back because we'll have a link in the description. Of course, you can go right over to RotoWire, or we do provide the link the standard link that you can always check out for CJ's. Basically, it's your main location for F1 coverage on RotoWire. You can just bookmark that, and you'll know to just check that out every Friday. And the F1 report will be available for race weekend. But if you wind up watching the videos on Friday or Saturday, you can just go ahead and take a look at that link in the description area and check out CJ's coverage at RotoWire for the race this week in F1. And we'll see you guys next week.